Okay, Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Chaitanya Cahritamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 8, and we're going to start with text 41. Is that correct, everybody?
No, Prabhu.
40, I think, Prabhuji.
Okay, text 40. Let's do that. Okay, so chapter 8, Adi Lila, text 40. वृंदावन दास पदे कोटि नमस्कार ऐसे ग्रंथ करिते हो तारिला संसार. I offer millions of obeisances unto the lotus feet of Vrindavan Das Thakur. No one else could write such a wonderful book for the deliverance of all fallen souls. So note, Krishna's Kaviraj is praising Vrindavan Das Thakur. So there's no envy here, only the mood of surrender and the mood of humility to praise somebody whom he considers superior to him. Text 41. Narayani Chaitanya Uchishta Bhajan Tar Garbhe Janmila Shidas Vrindavan. Narayani eternally eats the remnants of the food of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Vrindavan Thakur was born of her womb. Okay, so I think we'll discuss more details. Let's read the purport. Any volunteers for the purport? No volunteers?
No, I'll read this side, Prabhuji.
Okay.
I will do. Okay. 1 second, let me open. Okay. Okay. In text 43 of Gaura Ganodesha Deepika, a book written by Kavi Karnapura that describe all the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and who they previously were. There is the following statement regarding Narayani. Ambikayaha swasya yasin namna Srila Kilimbika Krishno Chistam Prabhunjana Shreyam Narayani Mata. When Lord Krishna was child, he was nursed by a woman named Ambika, who had a younger sister named Kilimbika. During the time of Lord Chaitanya's incarnation, the same Kilimbika used to eat the remnants of food left by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That Kilimbika was Narayani, who was a niece of Srivasa Thakur. Later on, when she grew up and married Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur was born from her womb. A devotee of Sri Krishna is celebrated in terms of devotional service rendered to the Lord. Thus, we know Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur as the son of Narayani. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur notes in this connection that there is no reference to his paternal ancestry because there is no need to understand it. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you. Yeah. So there's a reference to this book called Gaur Ganodesh Deepika by Kavi Karnapur, and describes all the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in terms of who they were in Krishna Lila. So here the two personalities being mentioned here, Ambika and Kilimbika. Ambika was the nurse for Lord Krishna, and her younger sister was Kilimbika, who appeared in Lord Chaitanya's time as Narayani. So basically, Narayani was the daughter of Srivas Pandit's elder brother, whose name was Sri Nalina Pandit. And as the purport was saying, that Kilimbika used to eat the remnants of Krishna's food. And she did the same thing when she appeared as Narayani in the Chaitanya Lila. And basically what happened was when Lord Chaitanya was performing his Mahaprakash Lila, where he was showing different forms, different Vishnu forms of his to his different devotees, he offered or allowed Narayani, who was I think 4 years old, I think, at that time, he allowed her to honor the Mahaprasad, which is remnants of his Prashadam. And when she honored that, she developed all the symptoms of ecstasy, just crying and laughing, all the ecstasy of loving love, I should say, were being displayed on her body. Then later on, she got married and she gave birth to Krishnadas Kaviraj. But her husband died very soon after that. So she moved back in the house of Shivas Thakur, where uh, she continued to receive the special blessings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so that's basically text 41. Text 42. तार की अद्भुत चैतन्य चरित वर्णन जहार श्रवणे शुद्ध कैल त्रिभुवन. What a wonderful description is given of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Anyone in these three words who hears it is purified. So again, it's talking about Krishnadas Kaviraj, Vrindavan Das Thakur, saying he has given such a wonderful descriptions of all the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. And anybody who hears those pastimes is purified. 43. अतएव भज लोक चैतन्य नित्यानंद खंडिबे संसार दुख पावे प्रेमानंद. I fervently appeal to everyone to adopt the method of devotional service given by Lord Chaitanya and Nityanand, and thus be freed from the miseries of material existence and ultimately achieve the loving service of the Lord. So what's the method of devotional service God Nitai have given us? Anybody?
Congregational chanting, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Exactly. So that's the method Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityanand have given us. And follow that, and if we do that, we'll ultimately achieve the love of Krishna. Text 44. Vrindavan das kail Chaitanya Mangal, tahate Chaitanya Lila varnile sakal. Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur has written Sri Chaitanya Mangal, and therein described in all respects the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Text 45. Sutta kari sabalila karile granthan, pache vistariya tahar kail vivaran. He first summarized all the pastimes of the Lord and later described them vividly in detail. So that seemed to be the style those days, because all these people were so old. Anybody any idea how old Krishnadas Kaviraj was? Sorry, Vrindavan Das Thakur was when he started to write Chaitanya Mangal? Just a guess?
About 85 to 90, Prabhuji.
Yeah, around 90.
90.
Krishnadas Kaviraj was 92.
92, yeah.
So they were very, very old. So they were worried that they may leave their body before the work's done. So both of them first summarized the pastimes they were going to describe later on. And then they say, okay, now whatever time I left, now I'm going to put the details. Srila Prabhupada did the same thing. What did he do to make sure that he's able to give the details?
He translated Chaitanya Charitamrita before he finished up the Srimad Bhagavatam completely.
Okay. That's a good point. Something else also, something he gave in condensed form before giving the details.
Krishna book.
Yes, Krishna book. He wrote Krishna book before continuing with the translation and purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam, because he said, I don't know how much longer I'll be around. So at least let me give you the summary of the Canto 10. So he did that. Okay, 46. Chaitanya Chandreri Lila Ananta Apar Varnite Kat Hoile Vistar. The pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are unlimited and unfathomable. Therefore, in describing all those pastimes, the book became voluminous. 47. Vistar देखिया किछु संकोच हैल मन सूत्र धृत कौन लीला न कैल वर्णन. He saw them to be so extensive that he later felt that some had not been properly described. 48. Nityananda Lila Varnane Hoile Avesh Chaitanya Shesh Lila Rahile Avashesh. He ecstatically described the pastimes of Lord Nityananda, but the later pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained untold. So basically, as we know the story of Vrindavan Das Thakur, he was given instruction by Lord Nityananda to go to Vrindavan and live there, and then later on, by the instruction of the Goswamis, he wrote Chaitanya Mangal. But he was very connected to Lord Nityanand, and so he was writing the book Chaitanya Mangal. He got carried away and focused a lot on Lord Nityanand, and therefore he was not able to describe all the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in that book. सही सब लीलार सुनिते विवरण Vrindavan Vasi Bhaktir Utkantita Man. The devotees of Vrindavan were all very anxious to hear those pastimes. So, Krishna Kaviraj is saying that Vrindavan Thakur wrote all that, but there were lots of pastimes of Lord Chaitanya which was not described in Chaitanya Mangal. But the residents of Vrindavan at that time were very eager to hear the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya that were not described by Vrindavan Thakur. So they wanted to do something about that. They were very anxious. Text 50. वृंदावन एक कल्पद्रु में सुवर्ण सदन महायोग पीठ तहा रत्न सिंहासन. In Vrindavan, in a great place of pilgrimage, underneath the desired tree is a golden throne bedecked with jewels. So describe what that means. 51. Tare bosi ache sada Vijayendra Dandan Shri Govinda Deva Nam Sakshat Madan. So on that throne sits the son of Nanda Maharaj, Shri Govinda Dev, the transcendental Cupid. So this is the Govindji's description being given here. Raj, text 52. Raj Seva jo hoye taha vichitra prakar, divya samagri, divya vast alankar. Varieties of majestic service are rendered to Govinda here. His garments, ornaments, and paraphernalia are all transcendental. 53. Sahastra sevak seva kare anukshanam. Sahastra vadane seva na jaya varnam. In the temple of Govindji, thousands of servitors always render service to the Lord in devotion. Even with thousands of mouths, one could not describe this service. So elaborate was the service being performed with thousands of people that Krishna Kaviraj is saying, even if it had 1,000 mouths, he could not describe the service being performed completely. 54. Sevar Adhyaksha Shri Pandita Haridas, Tar Yasha Guna Sarva Jagate Prakash. In the temple, the chief servitor was Shri Haridas Pandit. Not Haridas Thakur, Haridas Pandit, different person. His qualities and fame are known all over the world. Srila Haridas Thakur Pandit was a disciple of Shri Ananta Acharya, who was a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit. And we'll talk about him in a bit. 55. Sushila, Sahishnu, Shant, Vadanya Gambhir, Madhura Vachan, Madhur Cheshta Mahadhir. He was gentle, tolerant, peaceful, magnanimous, brave, sweet in his words, and very sober in his endeavors. So they're describing the qualities of Haridas Pandit. 56. Sabar samman karta karen sabar sthita, kautilya matsare hinsa na jane tarachit. He was respectful to everyone. Somebody's got their audio on and they're talking. Can you just put us on mute, please? We have a conversation there. Okay, translation. He was respectful to everyone and worked for the benefit of all. Diplomacy, envy, and jealousy were unknown to his heart. What does diplomacy mean? Anybody? What does the word diplomacy mean?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, trying to please both the parties, Prabhu.
Okay, that's one word, yeah. That's one definition. In the context of this verse, what does it mean?
To talk about Prabhuji keeping the time and the situation in the mind, like the person could be like a diplomatic, or the person may be talking according to the time, not really speaking the truth.
Okay, yeah. So basically, not always speaking very clearly, not always stating what's on their mind, and like you said, sometimes not even speaking the truth. Whatever is required, they say that. So that's diplomacy. So there's a word called arjavam, the quality of a devotees. It's straightforward. So diplomacy is not straightforward. Okay, 57. Krishner je sadharana sadguna panchash se sab gunere tar sharire nivas. The 50 qualities of Lord Krishna were all present in his body. Okay, purport. Who wants to read that?
I can read, Prabhu.
Go ahead, Mataji.
In the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, the transcendental qualities of Sri Krishna are mentioned. Among these 50 are primary. Ayam Neta Suramyagaha, etc. And in minute quantity, they were all present in the body of Sri Haridas Pandita. Since every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all 50 of these good qualities of Sri Krishna are originally minutely present in every living being. Due to his contact with material nature, these qualities are not visible in the conditional soul. But when one becomes a purified devotee, they automatically manifest themselves. This is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.18.12, as mentioned in the text below. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, excuse me. As you know, there are 64 qualities of Krishna described in Nectar of Devotion. Out of those, 50 are present in minute quantities in the living entities all the way up to Brahma. And Lord Shiva has 5 more, Lord Narayana has 5 more than that, and then Krishna has 4 more than anybody else. So anyways, the point being made is that those 50 qualities were present in the personality of Srila Haridas Pandit. Text 58. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 5.18.12. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarvaya gunaya tatra samasate sura harava bhakta sukuto mahadguna manorathena sati dhavito bahihi. Translation. In one who has unflinching devotional faith in Krishna, all the good qualities of Krishna and the demigods are consistently manifested. However, one who has no devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no good qualification because he is engaged by mental concoction in material existence, which is the external feature of the Lord. So again, the point being made, if you're not a devotee, then whatever qualifications you have, they're no good because they keep you external. They keep you under the control of Maya. And so therefore they are no good.
So the person, that person is completely in ignorance, we can say, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, you can say that. On the other hand, who has complete faith in Krishna, then all the qualities of Krishna and the demigods are consistently manifested. Not talking about the other, still 50 only, but those 50 are manifested properly. 59. Pandit Gosai Shishya Ananta Acharya Krishna Prema Mayatanu Udar Sarva Arya. Another Acharya was a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit. His body was always absorbed in the love of Godhead. He was magnanimous and advanced in all respects. So, we mentioned here that he was a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit. Text 60. Tahar Ananta Shuna Ke Karu Prakash. Tahar Ananta Guna Ke Karu Prakash. Tar Priya Shishya Ho Pandit Haridas. Ananda Acharya was a reservoir of all good qualities. No one can estimate how great he was, and Pandit Haridas was his beloved disciple. What somebody read, please?
Yes, Prabhuji, I'll do. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Abu Bhashya, Sri Ananta Acharya is one of the eternal associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Previously, during the advent of Lord Sri Krishna, Ananta Acharya was Sudevi, one of the 8 gopis. This is stated in the Gaura Ganadasha Dipika 165 as follows. Anantacharya Goswami Yasu Devi Pura Braji. Anantacharya Goswami was formerly Sudevi Gopi in Braja, Vrindavana. In Jagannatha Puri or Purushottama Kshetra, there is a monastery known as Ganga Mata. Mata that was established by Ananta Acharya. In the disciplic succession of the Ganga Mata, he is known as Vinoda Manjari. One of his disciples was Haridasa Pandita Goswami, who is also known as Sri Raghu Gopala and as Sri Rasa Manjari. His disciple Lakshmi Priya was the maternal aunt of Ganga Mata, a princess who was the daughter of the king of Putia. Ganga Mata brought a deity of the name Sri Rashika Raya from Krishna Mishra of Jaipur and installed him in the house of Sarvabhauma in Jagannathapuri. The principal in the 5th generation after Sri Ananta Acharya was Sri Vanamali in the 6th generation. Sri Bhagavan Dasa, who was a Bengali in the 7th generation, Madhusudana Dasa, who was an Arya in the 8th generation, Nilambara Dasa in the 9th generation, Sri Narottama Dasa in the 10th generation, Pitambara Dasa and in the 11th generation, Sri Madhava Dasa, the disciple in the 12th generation, is presently in charge of the Ganga Mata monastery. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Madhuri. Okay, there's really not much to explain except a bunch of people mentioned and who they were in the context of this discussion and who they were in the Krishna Lila. And the most major point is that another Acharya was Sudevi, one of the 8 Sakhis in Krishna Lila. And Ganga Mata Mat that's being referred to here, Ganga Mata actually was the daughter of Lord Nityanand and Vasudha. And actually, Janua Thakurani had initiated her. And she started, her husband actually was Shantanu in Krishna Lila. Anyway, very, very exalted personalities. And they had existence both, or pastime, I should say, both in Krishna Lila and in Chaitanya Lila. Okay, text 61. Chaitanya Nityananda tar parama vishwas, Chaitanya Charite tar parama ullas. Pandit Haridas had great faith in Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. Therefore, he took great satisfaction in knowing about their pastimes and qualities. Okay, 62. Vaishnava gunagrahi na dekhaye dosh, kaya mano vakya kare Vaishnava santosh. He always accepted the good qualities of the Vaishnavas and never found fault in them. He engaged his heart and soul only to satisfy the Vaishnavas. Somebody wants to read purport?
Shall I read, Prabhupada?
Go ahead, yeah.
It is a qualification of a Vaishnava that he is adosa darsi. He never sees others' faults. Of course, every human being has both good qualities and faults. Therefore, it is said, Saj jana gunam ichanti dosam ichanti mamra. Everyone has a combination of faults and glories. But a Vaishnava, a sober man, accepts only a man's glories and not his faults. For flies seek source, whereas honeybees seek honey. Haridas Pandit never found fault with the Vaishnava, but considered only his good qualities. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhu. That's another wonderful quality of Vaishnava, a dosh darshi, never saying the faults of other people. And the purport Prabhupada is explaining that everybody has good qualities and bad qualities. But a Vaishnava sees only the good qualities, not the bad qualities. But somebody else sees only the bad qualities, not the good qualities. So there's a quotation here, Sajjana gunam icchanti, dosham icchanti pamra. So Sajjan means good people, devotees. Gunam icchanti, they only see the good qualities. And they dosham icchanti pamra. And pamra, the fallen people, they only see the faults. So they ignore the good qualities, they see the faults. Vaishnavas ignore the bad qualities, only see the good things. And the example is given of honeybee and a fly. A fly will always find the dirtiest place to sit on. And the honeybee will only go where the nectar is. So that's a very good example given. Shashikala Mata, you have a question or comment?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So, why is that sometimes, even though a person has all the good qualities, we deliberately want to find the faults, and sometimes when they don't, and sometimes we deliberately want to only see the good qualities, how much ever they have. Uh, what is that attachment or aversion?
So you're saying the same person sometimes only wants to see good qualities and sometimes only wants to see bad qualities?
With certain people, we want to see good qualities. We ignore them because we like them, maybe. Sometimes we might not
Oh,
like
I
some
see, I
people
see.
and we only see bad
Yes,
qualities.
yes, yes. It's called a bias. So we have filters in our viewpoint. So there's an expression, if you're wearing rose-colored glasses, then everything looks rosy. I don't know if you've heard that expression. Not that everything's rosy, but because you're wearing rose-colored glasses, everything looks rosy. So when you love somebody, you are favorable to somebody, you tend to ignore the bad things they do. It's like, for example, if you take a mother of a young child, it doesn't matter how much of a brat the young child is, everybody else may be annoyed, but the mother still saying, "Oh my God, my baby is so nice. I love my baby," because she's totally ignoring all the bad things. I remember long time ago, 40, 50 years ago, we had a friend, they had a 2-year-old boy, son. He used to come and try to break everything in our house. And they were still saying, "Oh, such a nice boy," this and that. We used to get so angry, but she was just saying, "Oh, my son is so nice, so wonderful." And really, I was breaking everything in our house. So, point being, the biases help us see either the good thing or the bad thing. Similarly, if you don't like somebody, even the good things look like the bad thing, and you do an interpretation in a way that sounds bad. So it's just that matter. It's point of view.
So we need to fix our lens, is it,
Yes,
Prabhu?
Madan.
It's
So
on us.
actually, yeah, thank you for saying that. Let me tell you very quickly a nice story. There was an old couple, and they used to sit for breakfast together in their kitchen, and out of the kitchen window, they could see the neighbor in their backyard. And this neighbor had a clothes line where they used to hang their clothes. And every day the old man will complain to his wife that these people are so dirty. Look at their clothes. They're so dirty. They're putting them to dry. They don't wash them properly. Their clothes are always so dirty. It went on for weeks. One day they sat down and the old man said, "Oh my God, it looks like the neighbor heard my complaint. Look at their clothes. They look so clean today. They must have done a very good job today." And the wife smiled and she said, "My dear, I cleaned the kitchen window today." So, so that's what's going on, right? We don't have a clean kitchen window. We have clean glasses. And the dirtier they are, the dirtier everybody looks. So Vaishnava is looking at a very nice, through very nice lenses of devotion, and therefore he's able to see only the good qualities. Even in the bad person, he sees only good qualities. It's like Krishna. You could be a rascal, but you do one small service, and Krishna notices that. We go to the temple and we do so many offenses. Krishna says, "It's okay, you can come back." Why? Because he's seeing the effort we are making. not the mistakes we're making. He's gunagrahi, he's bhavgrahi, he's sargrahi. Right? He only takes what's relevant to him. Okay? Is that okay, Mataji?
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Sure, Hare Krishna. Text 63. निरंतर सुनेते हो चैतन्य मंगल ताहार प्रसादे सुने ने वैष्णव सकल. He always heard the reading of Sri Chaitanya Mangal, and all the other Vaishnavas used to hear it by his grace. कथाएं सभा उज्ज्वल करे जैन पूर्ण चंद्र निज गुना मृत बढ़ाए वैष्णव आनंद. Like the full moon, he illuminated the entire assembly of Vaishnavas by speaking Sri Chaitanya Mangal. And by the nectar of his qualities, he increased their transcendental bliss. So he'll be reciting it, and just the way he did it, and because of his own qualifications and qualities, people felt real bliss listening to him recite Chaitanya Mangal. 65. Teho ati kripa kari agya kela bore Gorangere shesh lila vani bare tare. By his causeless mercy, he ordered me to write about the last pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, excuse me, Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying that it was his mercy that he ordered me to write the pastimes. So, this is the quality of Krishnadas Kaviraj. Somebody is ordering him to do something, and he says, that's his mercy. As I was saying, who is he? Tell me to do what? No, that's his mercy is telling me to do something so useful, like writing the pastimes. Especially the last pastime, which means the last 18 years of Lord Chaitanya's life. So where did Lord Chaitanya spend last 18 years of his life?
Jagannath Puri.
Jagannath Puri. So those are pastimes described by Krishnadas Kaviraj. Okay, 66. Kashishwar Gosain Shishya, Govinda Gosain, Govindere Priya Sevak Tar Samanai. Govinda Gosain, the priest engaged in the service of Lord Govinda in Vrindavan, was a disciple of Kashishwar Gosain. There was no servant more dear to the Govinda deity. Wow. Let's read the purport.
You can read, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, of course.
Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura writes in his Anubhashya, Kasishwara Goswami was one of the contemporaries of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was with the Lord in Jagannath Puri, also known as Kasishwara Pandita. He was a disciple of Ishwara Puri and son of Vasudeva Bhattacharya, who belonged to the dynasty of Kanchilala Kanu. His surname was Chaudhary. His nephew, his sister's son, who was named Rudra Pandita, was the original priest of Vallabhapura, which is situated about 1 mile from Srirampura railway station in the village of Katara. Installed there are the deities of Radha Govinda and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kasishwara Goswami was a very strong man, and therefore, when Lord Chaitanya visited the temple of Jagannatha, he used to protect the Lord from the crowds. Another of his duties was to distribute prasadam to the devotees after kirtana.
Yeah. So yeah, Kashmir Pandit was very special associate of the Lord. And it's mentioned here that he was a big man, and therefore he'd protect the Lord from the crowd, because they would be rushing to touch him, touch his feet, things like that. He'd be protecting the Lord from all that. And then, of course, he was distributing prasadam to all the devotees after kirtan. Okay. Next paragraph.
I can read, Prabhu.
Except
Should I read, Prabhuji?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur visited the temple at Vallabhapura. At that time, the person in charge of Sevite Shri Shivachandra Chaudhary, who was a descendant of Kashisha Goswami brother. In Vallabhpura, there was a permanent arrangement to cook 9 kilos of rice, vegetables, and other foodstuff daily. And near the village, there is a sufficient land which belongs to the deity on which this rice was grown. Unfortunately, the descendants of Kashishvara Goswami's brother have sold a major portion of this land, and therefore the deity worship has now been hampered. It is said in the Gorandasha Deepika that the servant of the Krishna in Vrindavan named Vrindgara, descendant of Kashisha Goswami, during the pastime of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In our householder life, we also sometimes visited this temple of Vallabhpura and took prasadam there at noon. The deities at this temple, Shri Radha Govinda and the Gauranga Vigraha are extremely beautiful. Near Vallabhpura is a beautiful temple of Jagannath. We sometimes used to take prasadam in this Jagannath temple also. These two temples are situated within a 1 mile radius of the Sri Rampura railway station near Calcutta.
Thank you. There is nothing discussed here. Age of Kali took over, and even somebody is coming from such a great family as Kashishwar Pandit, who sold the land, and now the deity worship is suffering. 67. यादव आचार्य गोसाई श्री रूपेर संगी Chaitanya Cahritamrita ho ati bad rangi. Sri Yadav Acharya Goswami, a constant associate of Srila Rupa Goswami, was also very enthusiastic in hearing and chanting about Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. 68. Pandit Gosai Shishya Bhugarb Gosai Gaur ke tha bina aar mukhe anya nahi. Bhugarb Goswami, a disciple of Pandit Gosai, was always engaged in topics regarding Lord Chaitanya, knowing nothing else. So this Bhugarb Goswami is Samadhi. Do you know where that is? Have anybody seen that? Samadhi of Bhugarb Swami.
Is it in Radha Damodar temple?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So next time you go, please circumambulate. It's a very small Samadhi, but it's there. So please circumambulate that Samadhi. 69. Tar Shishya Govinda Pujaka Chaitanya Das, Mukundananda Chakravarti Premi Krishna Das. Among his disciples were Chaitanya Das, who was a priest of the Govinda deity, as well as Mukundananda Chakravarti and the great devotee Krishna Das. Text 70. Acharya Goswami Shishya Chakravarti Shivananda, Nirbadhi Tar Chitte Shri Chaitanya Nityananda. Among the disciples of Ananta Acharya was Shivananda Chakravarti, in whose heart Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda constantly dwelt. Text 71. Arjat Vrindavan ne Vaisi Bhakta Gana, Shesh Lila Shunyate Sabar Hail Man. In Vrindavan, there were also many other great devotees, all of whom desired to hear the last pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. So all these people have been mentioned. All those who were in Vrindavan, they all wanted to hear about the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri. So they were insisting to Krishna's Kaviraj to please write. 72. More agya karela sabe karuna kariya, ta sabar bole likhi nirlajya koiya. By their mercy, all these devotees ordered me to write the last pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because of their order only, although I'm shameless, I've attempted to write this Chaitanya Cahritamrita. Okay, this is the purport that will explain what's happening here.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Sure, please go ahead.
To write about the transcendental pastime of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not an ordinary endeavor unless one is empowered by the higher authority or advanced devotee. One cannot write transcendental literature, for all such literature must be above suspicion, or in other words, it must have none of the defects of conditioned soul, namely mistakes, illusion, cheating, and imperfect sense perception. The words of Krishna and of the disciplic succession that carries The orders of Krishna are actually authoritative. To be empowered to write transcendental literature is a privilege in which a writer can take great pride. As a humble Vaishnava, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, being thus empowered, felt very much ashamed and that it was he who was to narrate the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ki Jai.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask a question. The last line it says, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami felt very much ashamed that it was he who was to narrate the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So what was the shame?
Like he was feeling that I am not able to describe all the things in the proper way. He was thinking like that.
Okay.
So, yeah, like he was feeling himself like, he was feeling ashamed of that.
Okay. All right. So basically, that's true. The point being made here is that to write about the pastimes of the Lord is not an ordinary endeavor,
Yes.
right? One has to be empowered by the Lord, by the devotees, and by the higher authorities.
Yep.
And even then, Krishna has to show special mercy.
Of course.
Srila Prabhupada said, I read my own books, so you should read them too. And somebody said, Prabhupada, but why do you read them? You wrote it. He says, no, I did not. Every time I sat down to write, Krishna will sit in front of me, dictate, and I only wrote what he dictated.
Yep.
So even I learn when I read my books. So that's the main point being made here, that nobody, unless empowered by Krishna, the devotees can write anything. Why? Because the literature about the Lord has to be above any suspicion, which means it cannot be written by anybody who suffers from the 4 defects. What are the 4 human defects?
Illusion, cheating,
Propensity to cheat,
Sorry?
propensity to create imperfect senses.
Yes. And the 4th one?
making mistake, illusion, cheating, and imperfect senses.
Correct. So with those 4 defects, you cannot write anything perfect.
Correct.
And you're not allowed to write anything imperfect about the Lord who's perfect. So therefore, it has to come from the Lord.
Of course.
So this is why it's saying that unless empowered by the Lord and the devotees, nobody can write transcendental literature, which means literature about the Lord.
Correct.
Okay. And only, it says here, the words of Krishna and of the disciplic succession that carries the orders of Krishna are actually authoritative. Everything else is bogus prajalpa, mental concoction. Okay. And that is why these books like Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Cahritamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, they're so authentic and authoritative because came straight from Krishna, all with Krishna's help. Text 73. Vaishnavar agya paya chintit antare Madan Gopale gelao agya bangi bare. Having received the order of the Vaishnavas, but being anxious within my heart, I went to the temple of Madan Mohan in Vrindavan, asked his permission also. So he got the order from the devotees. Now he's going to the Lord saying, do I have your order also? Let's read the purport.
I can read.
Please go ahead.
A Vaishnava always follows the order of Guru and Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Cahritamrita was written by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami by their mercy. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami considered all the devotees that have been mentioned to be his preceptor gurus or spiritual masters. And Madan Gopal, Sri Madan Mohan Vigraha, is Krishna himself. Thus, he took permission from both of them, and when he received the mercy of both Guru and Krishna, he was able to write this great literature. Sri Chaitanya Cahritamrita, this example should be followed. Anyone who attempts to write about Krishna must first take permission from the spiritual master and Krishna. Krishna is situated in everyone's heart, and the spiritual master is his direct external representative. Thus, Krishna is situated antarbahi, within and without. One must first become a pure devotee by following the strict regulative principles and chanting 16 rounds daily. And when one thinks that he is actually on the Vaishnava platform, he must then take permission from the spiritual master, and that permission must also be confirmed by Krishna from within his heart. Then, if one is very sincere and pure, he can write transcendental literature, either prose or poetry.
Okay. So here's the process. Not anybody and everybody can do this kind of literature. And that's why there are so few of them. But in each case, you will see where a genuine document has been produced, exactly the same process has been followed. Who was the guru who's authorized Srila Prabhupada?
This guru,
Saraswati Thakur?
Yes. Right? So Saraswati Thakur was the guru and Krishna was there.
Disciple.
And by whose blessings, permission, Srila Prabhupada was able to write what he wrote. Same thing with Krishnadas Kaviraj. He's saying all these senior devotees were my Shiksha Gurus. They ordered me, and then I went to Madan Mohan temple, and we'll see later, I got permission from the Lord himself before I could write this. So it says, anyone who attempts to write about Krishna must first take permission from the spiritual master and Krishna. Okay? Otherwise, you can't do this. All right. 74. Excuse me. Darshan kari kehlo charan bandhan, Gosai Das Pujari kare charan sevan. When I visited the temple of Madan Mohan, the priest Gosai Das was serving the feet of the Lord. I also prayed at the Lord's lotus feet. 75. Prabhu charane yadi agya mangil, Prabhu kantha haite mala khasiya padel. When I prayed to the Lord for permission, a garland from his neck immediately slipped down. That's Krishna's way of giving permission or showing his mercy. 76. Sab Vaishnava Gana Haridhwani Dil, Gosai Das I Animala Morgale Dil. As soon as this happened, the Vaishnavas standing there all loudly chanted, Hari Bol! And the priest Gosai Das brought me the garland and put it around my neck. That was the permission he got. Agya Mala Paya Amar Hoil Anand Tahai Karinu Ei Granthir Aram. I was greatly pleased to have the garland signifying the order of the Lord. Agya Mala. The garland that signified the order of the Lord. And then and there, I commenced to write this. So he didn't start until then. Only when this happened, he started writing. 78.
Prabhuji,
Huh.
there is very beautiful pictures in the book also. In this Chaitanya Cahritamrita, this picture of Govind Dev Ji and this garland. These are the two pictures, very beautiful. In my book, I was so impressed by these two. Like the plate 2 is the Govind Dev Ji, and plate 5 is that mala when Krishna Kavidas prayed to deity of Madan Mohan for permission to write Shri Chaitanya Cahritamrita. A garland from his neck slipped down, signifying assent, and the priest respectfully placed it on the Krishna Das neck.
Yeah, that's right. She's referring to the pictures just a few pages before.
Yeah.
Plate 5.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay. 78. Ei granth likhaye more Madan Mohan amal likhana jen shukere pathan. Actually, Sri Chaitanya Cahritamrita is not my writing, but the dictation of Sri Madan Mohan. My writing is like the repetition of a parent. So same thing. Srila Prabhupada said the same thing. Krishnadas Kaviraj saying the same thing. Krishna dictated, I wrote. Okay, let's do the purport.
shall I go, Prabhu?
Of course, go ahead. Yeah.
this should be the attitude of all devotees. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead recognizes a devotee, he gives him intelligence and dictates how he may go back home, back to Godhead. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Tesham satatu yuktanam bhajatam priti-purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mama upayanti. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. The opportunity to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord is open to everyone because every living entity is constitutionally a servant of the Lord. To engage in the service of the Lord is the natural function of the living entity. But because he is covered by the influence of Maya, the material energy, he thinks it to be a very difficult task. But if he places himself under the guidance of a spiritual master and does everything sincerely, immediately the Lord, who is situated within everyone's heart, dictates how to serve him. The Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. The Lord gives this direction, and thus the devotee's life becomes perfect. Whatever a pure devotee does is done by the dictation of the Supreme Lord. Thus, it is confirmed by the author of Sri Chaitanya Cahritamrita that whatever he wrote was written under the direction of Sri Madan Mohan deity. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I was thinking when I was reading this purport that someone who's under the guidance, under the protection of the world's richest person, world's most famous person, world's strongest person, world's most knowledgeable, intelligent person, what could he be lacking? Anything he needs will be provided by this person. And especially if this person is a well-wisher, eternal well-wisher. He has no personal agenda. He's not being selfish. He just wants to do it because he loves you. Why would you run away from that person and go under the protection or guidance of somebody who may be playing by their rules, in that you get only what you deserve? You have to work hard. You do any mistake, you get punished. And you get punished and punished and punished again and again and again. And there's no real pleasure for you. There's no permanent pleasure for you. Why would you do that? But that's what we end up doing. We leave
Because we're not intelligent.
That's right. Because we try to be intelligent independently.
Yeah.
If we use Krishna's intelligence, there'll be no problem.
Yes.
But we want to use our intelligence. Similarly, if we agree to be dependent upon Krishna, there'll be no problem. But we want to be independent of Krishna. Similarly, if we said, no, Krishna, you enjoy, let me enjoy from your enjoyment, there'll be no problem. But we try to enjoy independent of Krishna, then there's a problem. So that's what's going on. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada is saying that if we develop the attitude that Krishna will protect me, Krishna will give me the intelligence if I simply surrender to him and I constantly just engage in serving him, all the problems will be taken care of and all the good things will happen. Such a simple message, but we forget. So Krishna's Kaviraj is saying that that's what I did. That Prabhupada is saying that's right. That is the way to do it. 79. Sei likhi Madan Gopal je likhaye, kashthere putali jene kuhu ke nachaye. As a wooden doll is made to dance by a magician, I write as Madan Gopal orders me to do so. Okay, let's somebody read the purport.
I can read.
Okay, one of you go ahead.
This is the position. Sorry. This is the position of a pure devotee. One should not take any responsibility on his own, but should be soul surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who will then give him dictation as the Chaitanya Guru.
No, Chaitanya.
Chaitya Guru, and the spiritual master within. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased to guide a devotee from within and without. From within, he guides him as the Supersoul, and from without, he guides him as a spiritual master.
Right. So the Lord is willing to do his part. He's willing to be the teacher as Paramatma inside and as Guru outside. But we have to be willing to take that dictation that he gives. For that, we have to be surrendered to him. And that's where the problem is. We don't want to surrender. Too much. But a pure devotee has no issue with that. He's devoid of any false ego, and he has no hesitation surrendering, and he has no hesitation accepting the instructions and directions of the Lord, and therefore he's able to do amazing things like write Chaitanya Cahritamrita. Text 80. Kuladhi Devata Mor Madan Mohan Jar Sevak Raghunath Rupa Sanatan. I accept as my family deity Madan Mohan, whose worshippers are Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Rupa Goswami, and Sanatan Goswami. By the way, they're especially mentioned here because they're all senior devotees being referred to the previous verses, and they were like his Shiksha Gurus. 81. Vrindavan Dasere Pada Padmakari Dhyan, Tar Agya Loya Likhi Jahate Kalyan. I took permission from Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur by praying at his lotus feet, and upon receiving his order, I was tempted to write this auspicious literature. Purport. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami took permission not only from the Vaishnavas and Madan Mohan, but also from Vrindavan Das Thakur, who is understood to be the Vyas of the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, again, this is the process. You take permission from Krishna, you take permission from the devotees, the senior devotees, and anybody you consider you a spiritual master, Shiksha Guru. Before doing, similarly, even if you're going, for example, to Vrindavan, you should take permission from the Lord, you should take permission from the devotees and the Shiksha Gurus before we go there. That's the process. The same thing. The process to write a book, describe the pastimes of the Lord, is to take the permission. The spiritual masters, senior devotees, the Lord himself, so on and so forth. And of course, it's been pointed out that Vyasdev was the Vyas of the pastimes of Lord Krishna, and Vrindavan Das Thakur is the Vyasdev of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Okay. Text 82. Chaitanya Lilate Vyas Vrindavan, it says here right here. Chaitanya Lilate Vyas Vrindavan Das Tar Kripa Bina Anya Na Hoye Prakash. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur is the authorized writer of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Without his mercy, therefore, one cannot describe these pastimes. So again, the humility is coming out. He's accepting Vrindavan Das Thakur as the authorized writer of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Without his mercy, nobody can describe his pastimes. Then he goes further. 83. Murkh, Neech, Chudramohi, Vishaya Lalasa, Vaishnavagya Bole Kari, Etek Sahasa. I am foolish, low-born, and insignificant, and I always desire material enjoyment. Yet, by the order of the Vaishnavas, I am greatly enthusiastic to write this transcendental literature. So saying, I'm full, I'm low-born, I'm not qualified, I'm insignificant, but by the mercy of this, mercy and the order of these Vaishnavas, I'm enthusiastic to write. So one of the first things that's required to do something good is enthusiasm. Krishna looks for enthusiasm. What's the verse in Nectar of Instruction? One of the first things required for the increase in devotional service is utsaha. Utsahat nishchayat dhairyat tat karpravatna. So utsaha, the enthusiasm, is one of the main ingredients for increasing our devotional service. So saying, by the mercy of the, let's say, the order of the Vaishnavas, I get that enthusiasm. Shalini Mata, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, why is he saying that I always desire material enjoyment, Prabhu?
It is all humility. All humility. Like not Krishna's Kaviraj does not have any material desires, but out of humility he's saying. Yeah. So actually, if you read the bhajans by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you see the same kind of things. I'm with the palmer, I'm with the niche, I'm low born, I'm no good. All those things is coming from them. Their humility.
Mohan in this world.
Narottam Thakur sings, my dear Lord Chaitanya, please have mercy upon me because you're here to deliver the fallen. There's nobody more fallen than me. It's Narottam Das Thakur saying that. So it's all humility.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Sure. 84. Shri Rup Raghunath Charaner Ei Bal Jar Smriti Siddh Hoy Vachit Sakal. The lotus feet of Shri Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami are my source of strength. Remembering their lotus feet can fulfill all one's desire. So, his strength is coming from the lotus feet, which means the mercy of his spiritual masters, Raghunath Das Goswami and Rupa Goswami. And you will see that at the end of every chapter, he offers obeisances to these two personalities. Next paragraph, next 85. Shri Rupa Raghunath Pade, Jar Ash, Chaitanya Cahritamrita, Kahe Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa Goswami and Shri Raghunath Das Goswami. Always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Shri Chaitanya Cahritamrita, following in their footsteps. So, he's praying at the lotus feet of his spiritual masters. What's he praying for? Praying for their mercy. The mercy comes in the form of A, their order, B, their empowerment. And then he's saying, I narrate Chaitanya Cahritamrita following in the footsteps. What does following in the footsteps mean?
Following the instructions.
Yes, exactly right. Following the instructions. So following the instructions, which obviously to write this book and take shelter of the lotus feet, because that's where their mercy and their empowerment is going to come. Thus, at the Bhakti Vedanta purport, Chaitanya Cahritamrita, Adi Lila, 8th chapter, in the matter of authors receiving the orders of the authorities, Krishna and Jai, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we'll stop here. Next week we'll start chapter 9. Any questions or comments before we stop here?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, it states about Chaitanya Mongol by Vrindavan Das Thakur. I think it was later known as Chaitanya Bhagavat.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So because it was discussed earlier, it is because Joseph Das Thakur wrote the book, and he called it Chaitanya Mangal also.
So he shifted.
Out of his humility, instead of saying, no, you change it because you're a editor.
Yeah.
No, I'll change mine.
That's what Vaishnavas are all
That's
about.
another humility.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Anybody else? Any questions or comments?
Krishna Prabhuji. So when we see that he is praying to Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Goswami, because Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, both of them were empowered by Lord Chaitanya, right, to go. So is that is the one of, and Raghunath Goswami, he used to hear from that we know at the Radha Kund, right? So Krishnadas Kaviraj, he used to hear from Raghunath Goswami directly. So he's praying to them. So just because Lord Chaitanya empowered them, and from them he gets inspiration. That's how again we are looking at parampara or disciplic succession.
You would say that, yeah. I mean, he got mercy from a lot of devotees. Some of them we mentioned today. To them, of course, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami were the main source. He got the material from Raghunath Das Goswami, who also gave the diary of Swarup Damodar and Mukunda Datta. So this combination of all those things in terms of material, and then of course the mercy of all these Vaishnavas, the permission from Krishna, allowed him to write this wonderful book.
Yeah. Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Sure.
But we also hear so many times that, even in the instance of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, that the Vaishnavas approached him and asked him to write these scriptures and write about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life and teachings. So is that true? Is that also, like, I know it's not explicitly mentioned here, but you have to be asked to write about these topics?
So asked is not the right word in this context.
Okay.
Ordered.
Okay.
Okay. So, and that's how he's taking it. They're my senior devotees, my seniors, and they're like my spiritual masters. And they're asking me to do it. That means they're ordering me to do it. But he's saying it is their mercy. So that's the word he keeps using. They showed their mercy by ordering him to do this. Right? The other implication is that if you do on your own, it may sound like you're doing out of your false ego. Or let me write something nobody's written, it'll be the best novel and best book, therefore let me do it. I say, no, I am insignificant. I'm low born. I'm not very intelligent, but because I got ordered, I got empowered at the same time, so I'm writing. That's why he's saying, I'm ashamed to do this, but I'm doing this because I've been ordered. Ashamed meaning I'm not qualified.
I think it's like a good way to understand, like, because there's so many sometimes books and things people come across.
Yeah.
But if you see this, like how it's written and how he's just constantly praying to his gurus and everybody senior to him, that humility that comes through. And even in so many other books that you see from different even Srila Prabhupada's books, it's clearly written right at the beginning, I was instructed to do this. My Guruji had asked me to do this, that I'm not just doing this on my own.
Right.
People don't write that. When there's some of the times when they're writing about like topics like this, it's just, I felt like writing it and I was inspired and whatnot.
Yeah,
so at least this, we have something as a guide, what to look for.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the way you tell a pure devotee from motherhood.
Yeah.
You see the qualities, yet they're so humble. And a lot of people today, they're so arrogant, so puffed up. They spend half the time praising themselves. Like even I'll be honest with you, I was listening to, or I have been listening to the glorification of my Guru Maharaj over a long period of time now. And there have been some people who come to glorify him, but they actually glorified themselves. Look what I did for Maharaj, look what I did with him, look what he did for me, this and that. Like self-praise. And that's not the mood. There are many people who did that. So you can tell who's where.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? Okay. Mancha kalpita. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mother. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.